Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Expert channel. In the last video we discussed about the alternative future of the world part 4, and in this video we shall be discussing about the alternative future of the world part 5. First change that's gonna happen is a political one, and that change is in Europe, where more countries are starting to join a side in this new Cold War between the CSTO and NATO. Those countries are Finland, Sweden, Austria, and Ireland, and Kosovo, which joined NATO, and Bosnia and Herzegovina, which joins the CSTO. Another country that joins the alliance is Lebanon, which joins the CSTO. And in Africa, even more countries join a side. We have Libya, Tunisia. We have Tunisia and Algeria, along with the Western Sahara joining NATO, and we have Morocco and Libya joining the CSTO. Another change that happens is in China. It is the unification of Beijing with the rest of China. And speaking of China, let's talk about their place in the world. Now, China has suffered a lot from the previous war. In World War II, they lost a lot of territory and their economy was crippled. And while now they are getting back up, they are probably like the 10th or maybe like the 9th largest economy, or maybe 5th or 6th. And they're probably not that powerful in military, since the military was completely destroyed. They were demilitarized, but they're still pretty strong, I will say. But their place in alliances is still being decided. The place in alliances is still being decided. China is still trying to figure out which alliance they want to join. Do they join NATO? Do they join the ADO, Asian Defense Organization? Or do they join the CSTO, the Collective Security Treaty Organization? Which they have to choose, or else they might end up as isolated power. I mean, China wants to regain its former power, but they probably can't, since they lost a huge portion of their coast, huge portion of their population, here and here, and they lost many of their important ports. And also they're being in the treaty it was said that China would be occupied for a few decades by all the powers in this world, by all the powers who participated in the war. So they're still being occupied to this day, but in a few years they will be left by the foreign powers like the USA, France, the UK, and India. But for now they're being occupied, and the place in the world. Sorry about that. The place in the world is still being decided. And well, we have to see what will happen in the future. In the Americas, something finally happens, and that change is the fact that Venezuela and Cuba both decide to join the CSTO. This is bad news for the United States, because now Russia has proximity to the US, and Russia will probably start sending military equipment and missiles and other equipment to Cuba and Venezuela, so that in the event of a war they could have an edge, because the US has a lot of allies near Russia. Now Russia has a few allies near the US, so this isn't good for the US, and so they're trying as much as they can to launch a coup against the Venezuelan and Cuban government. So this, in the event of a world war, now the US does not have the proximity advantage that it used to have. This is exactly like the Cuban Missile Crisis, how Cuba was an ally of the Soviet Union. Let's continue with the video. we have another unification happening, and said unification is here, where the East African Federation is finally being formed. If you don't know, the East African Federation is basically a proposed new country that is to be formed between the countries of South Sudan, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Burundi, to increase their economic strength and to put their place as one of Africa's strongest countries. They are just uniting for economic purposes. But now that the union is formed, there are some countries which have objected to the union. And that country is Sudan, which is kind of angry since South Sudan left in 2011 and now just recently joined the East African Federation, which is kind of mean, showing that they really hate Sudan. Let's just continue with the. I just realized that's the second time I said that. So we have another political thing happening, and that political thing is Australia and New Zealand joining the Asian Defense Organization. Now, you might be thinking, why is Australia and New Zealand joining the Asian Defense Organization? They're not even in Asia, but that's because they're getting scared, because Russia is starting to gain more influence here, because they started to gain more influence in Papua New Guinea, which is right above Australia, and they're kind of getting scared, so they joined the Asian Defense Organization. Speaking of Papua New Guinea, their fears are coming true. Papua New Guinea has now joined the CSTO. This because Russia has been helping Papua New Guinea develop so that they can get more influence in Australasia, and they won, and now Papua New Guinea is part of the CSTO, which is not good. Speaking of Edo, I just want to take a second to talk about India. Now, India used to be allies with Russia, but now their biggest allies probably Tibet, Korea, Japan, and the United States. So it's now Russia is basically an enemy, and especially now that they have a border with Russia, because Afghanistan lost their panhandle, and Russia gained all of Central Asia once again. Okay, let's go into another change. Is 2 unifications actually. The first one in Central America, where all the Central American states decide to unite for economic purposes, between Panama and Costa Rica, and Honduras, Nicaragua, and Guatemala, and Belize. And we have the other unification is happening on the island of Santo Domingo, where Haiti unites with the Dominican Republic as the Haitian Republic. Yes, Haika. That's a good name. This is now officially Haika. This is the United States of Central America. Okay, let's get on with another thing. Another thing is another unification. I just love unifications between Peru and Ecuador, because Ecuador wants the money, and now Peru has gained the Galapagos Islands, which are one of the most diverse animal islands in the world, containing animal species. I heard that there was once a war against the goats that were killing all these animals. Just a fact that I just say. Let's continue. Another major change happening is once again political alliance, and said alliance is the African Defense Organization. Now the African countries have been realizing that they're in the middle of a Cold War between, United States and Russia, and they want to be safe and secure, so they formed their own military alliance in order to fend off against any Russian or American threats. But let's now move on to something. War is Nigeria invading these 2 countries. I think this is Togo and this is Benin. So let's get into war. So we have Nigerian troops coming in from the north and taking land. They make a spearhead here, which is successful because these are very narrow countries, and they capture the entirety of northern Benin. They move into Togo, which they have Togo, I've seen these memes many times about Togo and Benin is meme. But let's just get into war. And basically, in just a few weeks, Nigeria wins. Yeah, not much of a fair fight considering how big Nigeria is, how strong the military is. They're probably a very strong military superpower. I mean, not exactly superpower, but certainly a strong military power in Africa. They probably surpassed Egypt in military power. So let's just look at the... And yeah, here's my interesting thing. Nigeria just annexed them. Okay. Well, I'm guessing that's it for today, since I only have a limited time. I'm using like an app which gives you only a small amount of time to make these videos. So I'm just gonna end the video there. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to check out for Alternative Future of the World Part 6. See you next time.